Hi, welcome to the Tuesday Takeaway. How are you doing today? How are you doing in Facebook? How are you doing in LinkedIn? How are you doing if you are watching on YouTube? It's fantastic to have you here. So, earlier time today, 12:45. I've never changed the time of the Tuesday Takeaway before. So, hopefully, it will still be something that's accessible to you with the idea that it's a lunchtime conversation. So we aim to last for a maximum of 30 minutes. So hopefully it can fit in with the time of day you might have a break and join the chat. So if you are joining live, it would be wonderful if you would type hello into the comments. And if you are watching on replay, if you could type in #replay, we will also know that you have been along, and we'll check the comments later to see whether there's anything that you need. So those things will help you to continue to see these videos, and it will help me to know that you are here and that I have somebody with me, which is always really helpful. So I'm checking for some comments now for a moment or two. I'm checking for some hellos to make sure that we have managed to get everybody on. So welcome to everyone joining. We've got two focuses today for our Tuesday takeaway. The first one is challenge, and the second one is more around tenacity. I'm going to call it tenacity. And let's move straight into the one about challenge. We have received some feedback recently on a review that I have been overseeing, and that challenge in that feedback was suggesting that some of the language that had been used, some of the words may have been construed as victim blaming. It's been quite a defining moment for me, on top of some previous defining moments that have been similar like that, because the work that we do in reviews requires us to have very broad shoulders. There's a lot of challenge, it's reciprocal challenge. We challenge and we are challenged as reviewers. So it's not that these days I'm taking it personally. So that has been a learning curve to me over 12, 13 years of being involved in reviews. It's never personal. And that's really not why this has been such an important time for me to have this challenge around these words that have been used in the review. It's really much more that I fully understand the influence that we create by our use of words. Tell me in the comments if you feel strongly about the influence we each create from our use of language. And victim blaming language is not the kind of influence I would want to have or be associated with. So it was time to kind of really consider this feedback, take it on board, and think about the fact that I truly believe that we can essentially change the world by the way that we use language and the way that we use our influence and the impact we have, on future generations, as well as those around us and who are consuming what's in our spoken and written material. I love to take a global view of that. I love to think about that as I've said, changing the world. It really does have that much importance to me. So yes, it was something that I took very seriously, something that I immediately wanted to change in case it could have any connotation like that. And I worked with the reviewer involved, and we resolved that. And it was really helpful challenge, gratefully received. And I think some of this use of language narrative that we talk about, when we talk about it regularly on LinkedIn in my community, it's not about being the words police. We're not looking to be saintly or to get it all right, to have sovereignty over people who've made a mistake. It's just worth it to have a daily practice of deciding to be more conscious around our own words, our own language. And, it's not a destination. We never get it perfect. It won't always be spot on, as we've found in this review. And we can just reduce the overall amount of victim blaming language there is around by being more conscious, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else has had this kind of feedback or this kind of, look back through some of their words and thought this could have this kind of implication or tone for some people, and really realise the impact of their words. It can be in case recording, it can be in your analysis, it can be in many, many spaces. It could be a post on social media, which I do several times a day. So it's really, it's so important to me to develop this and become as conscious as I can. And I think all it takes is a growth mindset. I don't know what you feel about that, but if we are creating spaces like we do as reviewers, creating containers, I always ask the new reviewer to think to themselves, what's the atmosphere I want to create? What's the container I am creating for this review? And I think that if we are equally open to challenge in our role as reviewer, as well as placing equal emphasis on exerting challenge, that seems to me to be a fair kind of container to create. How does that land with you? Are we open to challenge as well as being ready to exert challenge? How does it feel to be on the receiving end of challenging feedback? Love to hear in the comments if this is something that is present or has been present for you. So we've got a busy couple of days coming up. Tomorrow we've got a session in Momentum. The next day we've got a free live workshop. So I want to talk about some of the themes that are going to be coming through in this busy week at Review Consulting as well, to see how some of this pans out for you in your working lives. I have been thinking through this workshop we're having on Thursday, and it's about analysing the relationship between intimate partner violence, suicidality and self-harm. And I have been reminded of paragraph 9 of the Home Office Guidance 2016 about the purpose of a review. And purpose of a domestic homicide review, to be clear. Let me remind you of this extract. It says, the key is situating the review in the home, family and community of the victim, and exploring everything with an open mind. So if we are situating the review in the victim's lived experience, we are also going to be helped to understand, and here I quote, the context and environment in which professionals made their decisions and did or did not take actions. So to what extent was the way life was like for this victim viewed through the victim's lens by situating in their home with their family and their community? How much are we exploring everything with an open mind? So obviously there is, we now in the world of reviews having to step up in terms of our analysis of suicide after domestic abuse. And it's not that suicide after domestic abuse wasn't prevalent before, But in our world, we are increasingly called upon to analyse that. And I think that that's partly due to changes in the Home Office guidance about domestic homicide reviews, but it's partly also because we're all becoming a lot more aware in any type of review about suicide after domestic abuse. It features in all types of review. And the questions that come up time and time again when we are called upon to do this work in these reviews are things like, and I've made a note of a few. So where are the links? Where are the links between these factors? How does self-harm fit in? What are the challenges for family members, advocates, for the wider community, when, for instance, all that's visible is an unexplained death? So it's challenging work. It's work that not everybody wants to delve into. And, the role of the inquest is also a consideration. So this Thursday's workshop is super important. And, if we're going to craft a strong analysis around the relationship between intimate partner violence, suicidality, and self-harm, without a strong research base, that's really hard. So I wanted to bring through this June 2022 study. Estella Capellas Barbosa took part in the research team for this, and she's going to join me tomorrow on Thursday, this Thursday at 1 p.m. I think the link is going to come up for you shortly in the comments for you to just click on and have a look at the details. So this is 1 p.m. It's a free virtual live training. How to analyse the relationship between intimate partner violence, suicidality, and self-harm. So, we're going to unravel some of that. We're going to toss around solution-focused ideas, and we're going to think about some of the challenges that poses to us. I'm going to also address, before I can see a great comment here and address that, why I offer these free workshops throughout the year. And I think, the question is, how does this work as a business model? And I want to be really transparent about that. The review is a very challenging space, and I know from first-hand experience exactly how it feels to be alone and in need of support in that space. And I can reach a lot of people with my content. This world we're in with the internet and these platforms that we're all linking up on today is a fantastic way for me to reach a lot of people. And not everybody who comes along and enjoys the free content that I produce will invest in working with me. And that is okay, because I know a percentage of you will. And that allows me to do what I want to do and stay in the space. And how does that sound to you? How does that sound as a contract between you and I, in terms of you can come along and enjoy the free content, and you at some point may decide to work with me, and at some point you may not, but I'm glad that I am reaching as many of you as possible. That's the deal. I hope that sounds good. We have got something in the comments from Kirsty, who's saying, I always welcome challenging feedback, even if it's hard to hear. It can be hard to hear. We are humans. This is how we learn. It is how we learn. It's how we grow. And if we are going to step up and take on our role of exerting challenge, we also need to have the broad shoulders to receive it. So thank you, Kirsty, for just underlining the point that it can be hard to hear. It has been hard to hear, and equally it's been hugely expansive for me on having a look at my words from every single angle. What is next? There's two things for me to tell you about then. So you can see in the comments the link for the free workshop on Thursday. If you sign up and you can't join live, we'll send you the replay. So it's worth signing up if the topic is right for you anyway. Secondly, tomorrow, and this is exciting, I have a membership called Momentum, and it's a year-long space that you can come along 4 times a year and get involved in a live experiential learning session. And what that means is we take a situation from a review and we talk about it. And tomorrow's facilitated live discussion is going to be called, and I quote, "Understanding what it means to cultivate cultural competency in your reviews." And we're going to consider an IMR that does this well. So an IMR is the individual management report that an agency produces to tell the review what's been going on in their agency during the scoping period of that review. So if you're interested in writing IMRs or being involved in reviews, this is a great session for you tomorrow. So what I'm going to say is, if you want to join us tomorrow at 1 p.m, it's open for enrolment till midnight tonight. So why don't you check the details in that link? This is my suggestion to you. If you've got questions or you think, yeah, I want to join up, you can click the link and pay, or you can send us a DM and ask your questions and we'll get you sorted out today. So if you are interested in what it means to cultivate cultural competency in your reviews, that is the one for you. And then finally, we've got, if none of that, if you're not doing anything with us this week, how about the 12th of July? We've got a brand new workshop. We've got Leanne James, who is the project lead from Welsh Government for the Welsh Single Unified Safeguarding Review. I'm really excited to work with Leanne again because her passion for this Single Unified Review is absolutely infectious, and it will get to you, I promise you. So yeah, it's called How to Get Started with the Welsh Single Unified Safeguarding Review. I think you'll see a link in the comments shortly. That is 12th of July at 1 p.m. So I would love to have you there as well, if you can do that. I can see the link there. So there are many, many opportunities for us to work together this week, 12th of July. And it's just wonderful to have you here every week on the Tuesday Takeaway to talk to me. Thank you so much for your contributions. I will be back here again next Tuesday at the usual time of 1:30, and I look forward to seeing you then.